Hello, and welcome to Cheers. That's one woman's opinion. I am your host, Carolyn Mills. Um, so I wasn't here last week because I had surgery. So a week after surgery, you can see, looking pretty good. This one looks really good. The thing's almost gone, feeling very well. Surgery went well. Anesthesia made me very sick, but arms are feeling better, so I'm happy about that. And let's go ahead and jump into Cheers, Season 3, Episode 17, The Male Goes to Jail. This episode first aired February 7th, 1985. It was directed by James Burrows and written by David Lloyd, who passed away in 2009 from prostate cancer. Our guest cast includes Deborah Richer as Bambi, Troy Evans as Cop, Nick DeMauro as Customer, and he passed away in 2024 from an undisclosed cause. Larry Harple as Larry, and he passed away in 2005, undisclosed cause. Al Rosen as Al, who died in 1990 from cancer. Cheers is filmed in front of a live studio audience, was said by Rhea Perlman. Let's go ahead and jump into our summary. In our cold open, Larry comes from the back and asks Norm about getting Vera pregnant. Norm is snippy. Cliff asks Norm if he's going to a fertility specialist. Norm says he has, but he doesn't have much faith in the guy. He explains the guy has Vera sprinkling powdered rhino horn on his cereal, and then says that he sometimes gets an urge to charge a Jeep. Great bit there. Where everybody knows your name plays. Norm comes in, and everyone has their winter coats on. Diane tells Norm that the furnace is fine, but the vent is broken. Norm asks her what Sam is going to do about it. Diane asks why everyone has to wait for Sam to do everything. This seems kind of like a dumb thing to me because Sam owns the bar, and really they can't do anything unless Sam approves it. Um, so saying why they're waiting for Sam, I mean, granted, I realize she's implying because they're just lazy and don't want to do anything, but the reality is they really can't do anything. Cliff comes in dragging his mailbag. He says he's sick and stopped in the bar for a coffee before he finishes his route. Coach asks someone to go up to Melville and get Cliff a hot soup. Cliff asks about the heat. Diane says it's a small problem that no one will attempt to fix. Diane suggests that Cliff take a sick day. Cliff says he would never do that unless he was near death. Carla points out that Cliff used up all his time to go to Florida. Cliff asks, "You got a problem with that?" Norm goes over to Cliff's and hands him the bowl of soup. He looked, this was a kind of weird scene because Norm's not the one that goes up. And the side that Cliff is sitting on is on the side where the stairs going up to Melville's is. And I realize they need to get Norm over to the thing, but it seems kind of weird. Why would somebody come down from Melville's, bringing Cliff soup, go over to the other side of the bar to give it to Cliff? I mean, to Norm, so Norm can get. So I understand why Norm brought it over. It just seems the setup for it was kind of weird. Um, yeah, it was just very odd to me. In fact, I actually rewound this scene back because I was like, did Norm go up? Did I miss it? No, it wasn't Norm. And then I was like, was no, yeah, it was just all sorts of weird. Cliff asks about the heat. Diane says it's a problem that no one will attempt to fix. Diane suggests that Cliff take a. Oh, shoot. You know what? I'm repeating myself. I lost the place where I was. Hold on. Oh, yeah. Norm just handed Cliff the soup. Norm looks into the mail and Cliff's mailbag and says he can drop them off for Cliff since they are on his way home. Cliff tells Norm, "You're not trained, you're not qualified." Norm tells him that a chimp could do it. Diane tells Cliff that Norm is being a good friend by offering to help. Norm tells Cliff that he has two choices. One, let him deliver the rest of the mail in the mailbag. Or two, run the risk of non-delivery, livery, livery. Cliff acquiesces and Norm leaves with a mailbag. Sam comes in with Bambi. He asks why it's so cold in the bar. Coach explains about the vent. Coach says he called the repairman. Sam says he and Bambi will have to warm up the place. Diane tells them, "Don't bother. We'll just huddle over a light, three-way light bulb." Another good line there. Bam- Bambi tells Sam that it was the best ski trip ever, and Diane asks if they actually did any skiing. Bambi explains they stayed in the lodge all weekend because someone stole their skis. However, when they left that morning, the skis reappeared on the back of Sam's car and the rack. Sam tells she tells Sam she has to go to Boston University to be part of a fraternity stuff. I'm curious if Sam has his Corvette at this point. I don't know if they actually say when he got it. I always thought he had it the whole time, but it seems weird how anal obsessive he is with the protecting his Corvette. It kind of seems weird that he would have ski racks on a Corvette. Uh, Seems like that might not be good for a Corvette. Um, what do I know? I don't know cars that well, but from what I understand, I don't think that would be good. So I'm curious if he might have had a different car at this point. Sam says that he should look at the air duct. Diane makes fun of Bambi's name, and Sam asks Coach for a flashlight. Diane points out that Bambi was not the same woman that Sam took to the ski lodge on Friday. He explains that they were not compatible. Sam shines the flashlight into the vent to look at it. He then tells Diane that the other woman was not his intellectual equal. Sam says he did all he knows how to do, and she points out that all he did was shine a flashlight, and he says, "Yeah, that usually works." Cliff comes out of the office and asks Larry to get him some more soup. Sam asks why Cliff is in his office. Coach explains that Cliff is sick, but Cliff says he's feeling a little bit better and can probably sit at the bar now. A police officer comes in looking for Cliff. He says that Norm Peterson is at the station for mail theft. Cliff says that's a mistake. The officer explained they caught Norm, who said he was delivering the mail for Cliff. Cliff tells the officer that he asked Norm to do that. The officer replies, "You're out of a job, fella." Then Cliff clarifies what he asked Norm was to stop following him, and he claims that Norm has postal envy. Such a good phrase right there. Sam comes over to see if there's a problem. The man explains something. The man explains someone stole Cliff's mail and tried to blame Cliff. Sam says Cliff would never be involved in something like that. And also, oh. So the officer leaves, and Sam tells the others, however, they know that Norm was finishing Cliff's route. Coach tells him, "You sent your best friend Norm up the river." The gang are all upset with Cliff. Cliff calls a lawyer to get help for Norm. However, he does not want to pay the amount the lawyer wants. Sam comes in and says they. Oh, I apparently skipped this section. So Sam goes to try to figure out if he can get Norm out. So Sam comes in and says they won't let Norm go unless the post office drops the charges, which means Cliff has to confess. Carla tells Sam that Cliff is on the phone finding out what would happen if he confesses. She also tells him the furnace guy did not show up. Furthermore, Diane is trapped in the floor in the heating ducts. Sam asks where she is, and Diane responds, "I'm beneath you, Sam." Sam opens the grate, which is conveniently where Diane got stuck. I say I say conveniently as far as the actress, not the actual character that getting stuck was not convenient. The actress conveniently they had her get stuck where that door was so you could see her. Carla sells eggs, 3 eggs for a nickel, and announces hit the geek, win a free beer. Sam says he has a dime, so he'll take 6. Which again, kind of weird because Sam doesn't drink. I mean, I get the whole desire to hit Diane, but since it's for free beer, I guess he could give it to somebody else. Diane complains, and Sam says, Carla, how could you suggest such a thing? He tries, he goes to try and help her after closing the gate. Cliff returns from the payphone. He tells him that he would face a hearing and could be suspended or fired. I always love how when somebody's away or like he's on the phone, that he successfully just finishes right as the other person's talking. I always love how that works in TV shows and movies. Carla asks about Norm. Cliff says Norm has no previous record, so they would just give him a suspended sentence and a sharp reprimand. Coach tells Cliff, You're wrong and you know you're wrong. They tell him to take care of it or they will not allow him to show his face in the bar anymore. Cliff agrees to take care of it, but says his life is basically over. He will leave here a mailman and come back a nobody. Sam tells Diane he cannot get to her. She asks Coach to call the repairman and say it's an emergency. Sam says he can call someone else. Sam feeds Diane soup while she's in the grate. Carla tells her to stay calm because rats can smell fear. Sam suggests she declares her love for him in case she never gets out. Diane has him lean forward, then she bites him on the ear. Al pays Carla to be able to kiss Diane. Diane screams. Sam tells Al to sit down. I love Al, and I know most people do. I don't think I've ever seen anybody who's ever said, "Oh, I wish that guy wasn't there." Everybody loves Al, and what's amazing is Al has like these little bitty scenes like this, and he does them perfectly. He is perhaps the greatest guest star, recurring guest star, Cheers has had for those quick bits like that. Just he's phenomenal. He was phenomenal. Cliff comes in happy because he only got a 30-day suspension. Carla asks Cliff what will happen when Norm comes in, and Coach says Normie's going to be plenty sore at you. Cliff agrees, but says underneath the anger, he's going to be love and understanding. Norm coming up, the scene that's coming up here up to the end is perhaps the best part of this entire series, part of the entire episode. Norm comes in and chases Cliff around the bar. Cliff falls. They pull Norm back from hurting him. Sam tells Norm to take it easy, but Norm says, I want him out of the bar, out of my life forever. Cliff says he will go, but adds he took a chance getting Norm out of jail. Norm yells, I wouldn't have been in jail if it weren't for you. Cliff says that Norm's job is just a job, but being a mailman is my whole identity. He tells Norm he did it because he loves him and starts to leave. Sam asks Norm if Cliff can do anything. Diane agrees, and Sam shows Norm Diane is in the floor, saying, It's a long story. Norm tells Cliff that they've been friends a long time, and Cliff is by nature a weasel. He tells Cliff, Buy me a beer with your pants around your ankles. They laugh, but Norm becomes serious, telling him, Ankles, Cliff. He tells him to stool, stand on the bar stool and bark like a seal. Cliff does it. A couple comes in seeing Cliff and leaves saying there will be a cover charge. That was our episode. I gave this episode 4 out of 5 beer nuts. That ending was so great. George Wendt runs pretty fast for a guy his size, I thought. Um, I mean, we're used to seeing Moy City, but when he comes in, yeah, amazing. Of course, he was on the wrestling team. We learned in the Wally episode there. I forget which season it was, two, I think. Yeah, I think we were on season 2 at that point. But yeah, impressive. And Cliff barking like a seal. That was hilarious. Such a good episode. I gave the MVP to John Ratzenberger. Um, Pretty much the show revolved around him. We had the B story with Diane and the Great, and that incidentally, the reason they set that up so she was in a crate and in the Great is that Shelley Long was pregnant and they were trying to hide the pregnancy. So they stuck her in there so nobody had to look at her. And I don't mean that in a bad way. They just didn't want to have to. They could have Diane be pregnant. Best dress I had to give to Ernie Coach Mantuso because I love that jacket. So 80s, so wonderful. Our grand slam line between Cliff and Coach when they want um Cliff to deal with the whole Norm thing. So it says, I'll call and see what the penalty is, but it's got to be anonymous. Okay, everyone in favor of Cliff calling, raise your hands. They all raise their hands. Okay, everyone's in favor. Whoops. I'm going to do this whole thing over because I screwed that up. Take two. Between Cliff and Coach. Cliff, I'll call and see what the penalty is, but it's got to be anonymous. Okay, everyone in favor of Cliff calling, raise your hands. They all raise their hands. It's anonymous, not even an extension. Our on baseline between Sam and Diane. Starts with Sam. I'm serious. She wasn't my intellectual equal. You should have told me you were looking for your intellectual equal. I could introduce you to something growing in my shower. Here's a little known fact, and I'm going to show you because I'm wearing my coach shirt. What did I do? Whoa. Oh, right. That's kind of weird. Coach pops up on the shirt. You can't see the shirt because I have the background. But I'm wearing my coach shirt here, which now looks like Coach is hosting the show. This is kind of cool. Nicholas Colasanto died from a heart attack 5 days after this episode aired. He will be in two more episodes that were shot before he passed away. So very sad episode because it's not our last coach episode, but it's our last Nicholas Colasanto being alive episode. If you liked this episode, please like. Where's background here? I forgot to do that. Okay. If you like this episode, please like, subscribe, follow. Basically, click any buttons that you happen to come across. That'll work. Oh, now that's off, I can do the shirt again. There we go. That's the shirt. And as always, you can join the Facebook group. Cheers, that's One Woman's Opinion. Follow us on Instagram. Cheers, One Woman's Opinion Podcast. Follow us on Twitter X at One Woman Opinion. Again, no S because I wouldn't allow it. Join the Reddit subgroup or whatever they're called. Cheers Rewatch Podcast. And of course, feel free to email with any questions, comments, etc. at cheers one woman's opinion podcast at gmail.com. Next week, we will be looking at Cheers Season 3, Episode 18, Barbet. And that's One Woman's Opinion. Thank you.